All right, everybody, we are back, brand new, second Cabral HouseCall of the weekend, getting to our community's questions. Excited to see what the community has to say this weekend. Yesterday, we did tackle 5 particular topics from the community. If you didn't check them out, I'd head on over to episode 3620. Lots of great questions if I'm scrolling back from this amazing list my team puts together. We talked about a specific vitamin for autism. We talked about protein in collagen, how to know how much you're getting. We talked about mitochondrial function, how to improve inflammation, how to improve overall energy. Then we spoke about cold plunging. Is it good in high stress or not good for high stress? And then we talked about allergies and histamine intolerance. What are the root causes? Check all that out at episode 3620. Today, follow along with the questions here today at stephencabral.com/3621. Let's get into it. First question is from James. Let's see what James has to say. Again, no prep work is done for the show. My goal is literally just if we're at our annual event and you bump into me, you ask me a question, it's just on the spot. I'm giving you my answer, a good or next place to get started, a next place to look, the same answer I would give my own family, and that's what I want to share with you. All right, let's see what James has to say. Hi, Dr. Rawl. I've noticed that when I increase my protein, my digestion and sleep actually get worse. Is this more likely a gut issue, liver bile issue, or something related to cortisol? How would you approach troubleshooting this? Yeah, this is not uncommon. The older you get, the more difficult it will be to assimilate higher levels of protein. That is somewhat how life goes. Part of it is because of a reduction in stomach acid. And part of it is that you don't have as much energy as you typically did when you're in your teens and 20s. So I'll tell you right now, I was in my teens and 20s, later teens and early 20s, and I was consuming 300 grams of protein a day. That's an enormous amount of protein, especially for someone that weighed anywhere between 180 to 200 pounds when I was doing natural bodybuilding. And now I weigh much less than that. I usually weigh around 164 or so, which is much healthier for my body. I liked, vanity-wise, I liked how I looked more when I was like 175, 180, but I simply wasn't as healthy when I was doing that. And part of it was that I was consuming a much larger amount of protein. Okay, so protein is the highest thermogenic food, which means it gets more burned up, right? So it actually, calorie-wise, you could look at it as you're consuming less net calories, right? But protein it's much harder to digest, much harder to break down. That's why it's a higher thermogenic based food. I'm not going to break down what the thermogenesis of food is today, but it's just easier to break down and absorb carbohydrates and fat. That's the truth, okay? Harder to break down, which means it takes more energy from your body. Stomach acid, protein-based enzymes like proteases to break all of that down. Okay, so the goal would be, if you feel like the food's sitting in your stomach for a while, it might be low stomach acid. And the simplest fix, to be honest, is each meal, you don't want to overdo the protein at one meal. So split your protein up over 3 to 4 meals a day, if you're looking to get in more protein, 3 meals for most people. And also keep in mind that fish is going to be much easier to assimilate. Eggs are going to be much easier to assimilate. A protein shake is going to be much easier to assimilate. So you're not going to have the same exhaustion from those. So it's really the animal-based protein. That's why oftentimes my clients do it at dinner, because then after that, they're resting and they're going to have it 3 to 4 hours before bed. I've seen that work phenomenally well in my practice. And then take 2 to 3 digestive enzyme, the daily digestive enzyme. Take 2 or 3 of those at the start to your meal when you're having that bigger protein dish at dinner, and I think it will serve you well. All right, James? Again, I have lots of shows on increasing stomach acid, all that, but that's the simplest, most straightforward way. And you can still get 30 grams of protein over 4 meals a day, 120 grams for the day if you wanted to. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And even at dinner, it could be even more if you wanted to. 30, 40 grams is pretty easy with 6 ounces of protein. So you could easily get 130 grams a day and just have your animal protein at night. All right? All right, Mark's up next. I've been doing all the right things, sleep, nutrition, movement, but my HRV remains low. How much weight should we give metrics like HRV versus how someone actually feels day to day? So metric-wise, definitely how you feel day to day. And I actually give you those tracking sheets free in Personomics, because I want you to feel that way, truthfully. Because genetically, you have to understand that some people are born with a much higher HRV and some with a lower. And so your HRV is more personal to you. Now, I will say there are ranges, and I would check out my show I did with Dr. Jay Wiles. You can literally just go to stephencabral.com/podcasts, and just type in WILES. And I don't think I've done any other show with Jay before, so you should be able to see that. And we go over, like, having an HRV of 23 when you're 47 years old can be totally fine. The issue is on your baseline, if you'd see it to start to plummet each year, that's a sign that the body is not doing as well in terms of handling stress, buffering stress. But if you feel good at a 23, you feel good at a 23. So my goal then working with you would be to increase that 10 to 20% this year. And I know that we could do that because really we're just looking to move that between an average of like 5 points or so over the course of the year to get you to a 27. And you could do that. You could absolutely do that. You can't make it happen overnight because it won't stick. You want it to stick. So you'd progressively just say, oh, some nights are at 27, some nights are at 25, some nights are at 23, this night hit 30, then it's 26. And so you're kind of on the rise. Now, when you get a cold, you get a virus, which I'm actually just overcoming, unfortunately. Again, it happens, right? It happens. We're all human. But a lot of holiday travel, I've been on 8 flights in 3 weeks, 8 flights in 3 weeks, which is crazy, right? 8 flights in 3 weeks. Nobody should do that. But anyway, that's just the way that it goes. I want to go see my family. I want to go see my family for the holidays. And so that's what we did. And it's not that it's not worth it. It is. And it's okay. Got a virus, healing from the virus. My immune system has now seen another virus and is able to fight that off. Amazing, right? But during that time, my HRV was lower. How much lower? About 30%. Some nights, 40%. But that is transient, it's temporary, and then it will go back up. All right. So Mark, I don't know where you're at HRV wise. If you're in the mid to lower teens, I do agree that's too low. There is a stressor in the body. We do want to fix that. But if you're in the 20s, it might not be that. And honestly, it might not be that bad. So go by your symptoms as well. All right. Nancy's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I love your podcast and thank you so much for taking our questions. Happy to help, Nancy. Is it possible to take too many B vitamins? I've been very stressed and anxious lately, and my local health food store recommended a stress B complex. I noticed that every B vitamin was 100 milligrams across the whole label. Is this too much? Okay, got it. So you're feeling stressed, feeling anxious, go to a Whole Foods or whatever the health food store is, and they gave you a stress B vitamin. Understood. So remember, there is no, however you label it, it's a B vitamin, right? Ours is called the activated B complex because it's activated, meaning there's methylfolate in there, there's methylcobalamin, there's paradoxal 5-phosphate. It's the absorbable forms of your B vitamins. That's why we call it activated, meaning they're ready to be used. Stress B complex, you can call any B complex stress B complex because B vitamins are known to help with stress. That's literally what they help with. When you get stress, very predictably or over-exercise, it depletes your zinc levels, it depletes your vitamin Z, it depletes your B vitamins, and it depletes your glutamine. If you're very stressed, predictably, you need more of those. So I don't disagree with the recommendation for a B complex. However, not all B vitamins need to be at 100 milligrams. Some should be more, like B12. Technically, it's in micrograms, though. And some should be less, like B6. And just to give you a little story on this, I won't say who, someone in my family, extended family, essentially let me know I'm having some dizziness, having some neurological issues, having some balanced issues. I don't know what's going on. And I said, well, tell me over the last week or 2, 3 weeks, what's changed? Did you get a cold or virus? Because that's pretty normal for that to happen. No. Have you eaten any new foods, any sensitivities, have you starting to consume new teas? No. Have you started taking any new supplements? Yeah, I've actually taken two new supplements because I was going to this new therapist and they recommended these 2. And one of them was a B6. And I said, oh, okay. Look at the back of the label. Who's it from? I'm like, oh, I don't know the brand. What's the dosage? 100 milligrams. We don't start at 100 milligrams of B6. That's for sure. That is for sure. That's why, again, just be careful where you're getting your advice from. B vitamins are amazing. If a little is good, a moderate amount can be better. A high amount is not always best. And most likely, the 100 milligrams is going to be too high across the board. look at a functional medicine formula. It doesn't have to be Equilife. You can choose Equilife, the company I formulate for, or you can look for another good third-party functional medicine formula like any of the top brands that you know, or if you're working with an integrative health practitioner, they can help you as well. All right. So hopefully that's helpful. Be careful with the high dosages. You might even get like flushing, and you might not know why, from the niacin in it as well. So at the same time, you might have no issues at all. Start small. If they're tablets, break it in half. Start with a half a tablet if you already purchased it. No big deal, right? Start there. All right. Thomas is up next. Thomas says, I was watching your video on YouTube on your Hope4Cancer review when you went down there to check it out, and then the video stopped playing halfway through. Am I able to watch the rest of it? I have a family member with cancer, and she was wondering about that place. Oh, Thomas, happy to help. I mean, here's the thing. My team and I just try to do good work. Like, that's the truth. We're not trying to be the best. We're not trying to win any gold medals. We're just trying to do good work. That's it. We're trying to provide answers to people that need help. That's literally, we're trying to be useful in this world the best that we can. And I have an amazing team. So we do a Hope4Cancer video. I went down there for 5 days supporting another patient that is going through cancer right now and hopefully healed. And our video editor does an amazing job editing the video. Our producer does a great job, going through the different clips and putting it together. We put it on YouTube and they give us a strike. They ban the video. Why? Because we said the word. And now I can't even use this video, unfortunately. So now we have to edit out that part for saying that. It's so unfortunate, but we need to edit that out now that I said that. It's so unfortunate that I can't say certain things on videos and that YouTube censors people. They really do. They censor people. It frustrates me to no end. Who is YouTube to say that we can't talk about these particular therapies? It's so frustrating. It really is. I'm not even going to go into it. They have all the power, right? It's just the way that it is. I'm one practitioner trying to help people. Always go to stephencabral.com/podcasts. That's where you're going to be able to find the videos every day. When in doubt, that's where the source of truth is, because at least yet, no one can ban me from publishing my own material on my own website. So we are editing that video to make it safe for YouTube, because they are the ones who deem what's safe and what's not safe. And then if we can't get it up there, we'll mark it private and put it on our website. So yeah, disaster. It's really too bad, because we put a lot of time and effort into that, hoping to help people. We make nothing from that video. Nothing. We have no stock in Hope4Cancer. We just wanted to give you an honest review of what it's like to be down there. Anyway, you can hear the frustration in my voice. I don't like to be frustrated for long, so it's gone. And now we move on to the next question. Farah is up next. Farah says, I'm 7 months pregnant and worried about getting sick my last trimester. Is there anything I can do to prevent from getting sick? Any supplements, foods, or detox protocols that are safe to use while pregnant? All right, great question. Happy to help, Farah. So 7 months in, have to move through the full 40 weeks, want to make sure during the last trimester that you're not getting sick. Totally understand. So, and I work with a lot of women that are pregnant, a lot of women that are trying to get pregnant, and then also, of course, when they've got young babies as well. So all the different phases. Let's look at it this way. When you are pregnant, of course, you do sometimes get sick. So it's inevitable, and I want you to know that everything is most likely going to be just fine. It really is. But I get it, because one, you're going to be uncomfortable, and two, you're going to be worried about your baby. But if you do get sick, you're going to build up antibodies, and you're going to be able to pass those on to your baby too, which are great. That's great, right? You just have to be careful of the high fever. You don't want to get the high fever. You don't want to get pneumonia, but most likely that's not going to happen, right? But here's what we can do. The first is this. We want to prevent as much as we can. So, and it is, again, people have their own different philosophies. I recommend, if you're not looking to get sick, don't go in overly crowded places. That's the truth. Try not to fly. Try not to be in airports. Try not to be in big, busy grocery food stores, especially during peak times. That's my recommendation. As much as you can, if this is a priority. The second is that, although I don't recommend a lot of herbs and I don't recommend detox protocols while pregnant, I have no issue with women using a little bit extra vitamin C, making sure they have an adequate dose of vitamin D3, and getting a little bit more zinc. Those three things are the immunity protocol, and I have no issue with that. I don't necessarily think that you need the 2 to 3 grams a day of vitamin C and don't recommend it. But certainly you can get a half a gram to a gram a day for most women. You can get a good 30 milligrams a day of zinc, and you can definitely get 4,000 to 5,000 IUs of vitamin D3. So those things are certainly going to give you a nice boost in your immune system if you're not already getting them as part of a good prenatal or the daily activated multi with you might add the balanced zinc or the FM zinc to that, and just making sure you're getting more vitamin D3, because vitamin D3 is not in the daily nutritional support at an adequate level. We don't put that in there because we want to be able to dose that per person. That's the truth. That's why there's also no real source of iron in there besides from the food. And that's because we don't want people to get iron unless they need iron. And they could, of course, take an iron supplement and iron-based foods if they need to. So Farah, everything is most likely going to be good. Hopefully you can use the suggestions that I just gave you. And of course, best to you and your new baby as well. So congratulations, Farah. We hope to hear from you and how you're doing in the future. And thank you everybody for tuning in to another Cabral Concept podcast. I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new show. Take care, everybody.